So what do you want to change? You're depressed. A lot of people are. Because you hear that narcissistic behavior doesn't really change. Many of us at some time, and many of you are really invested in it changing and thought there were things that you could do or you could just be patient. But you know, now know, it's not really happening. And despite a long time of trying to talk and ask and be clear and communicate effectively and empathically, play to their sympathies, everything, nothing is working and the relationship is not getting better. So that takes you to the question, what do you want to have change? Really dig into that. What is the change you want? The answer can't just be, I want this to feel better, to be better. Be more specific and really make it about behavior. What behavior do you want to change in this relationship? You write it down for yourself. Now, some of the responses, and this is based on responses from me asking this question to other people, some of the responses you also may have might be, I want them to stop making unkind comments about my weight or appearance. I want them to stop telling me that I'm sensitive or crazy anytime I share an emotion. I want them to stop feeling that they're entitled to knowing how I spend every minute of my day. I want them to contribute just a little around our home, even if it is just taking out a bag of trash that is already by the door. I want them to stop always criticizing my sisters or my friends or basically anyone who matters to me. I want them to stop DMing other people flirty or inappropriate stuff or just being so secretive about their phone and their communications. I want them to come home at a time when the children are still awake, because I know damn well they can do their work at home in the evening, but they claim they are at the office, which they've lied about in the past, and the children do want to see them. I couldn't give a damn either way. I want them to stop asking us to work more hours for less money, and when we bring it up, to stop saying that we must not be committed to the vision of the business because we aren't making so-called sacrifices. I want them to listen to me when I speak and not consistently interrupt me or be on their phone when I am telling them something important. I want them to stop screaming when they don't get their way. I want them to stop giving me and everyone else the silent treatment when they don't get their way. I want them to stop making a promise about something and then pulling back on that promise at the last minute. And then it's too late to make a new plan or to address it. I am sure you have thousands and thousands of things that you want to change across all of your relationships. Then there is the stuff that you want to change or that you want that is more difficult to measure and may not line up as much with the behavior. These are things like, I want them to stop playing victim all the time. I want them to care about me. I want them to treat me as well as they treat other people, like the people they work with. I want them to be aware of the different things I do, to see the things I do. I want them to be proud of me or at least notice me. I want them to listen to me when I talk. I want them to stop putting me down all the time. I want them to stop seeming like they are inconvenienced by my existence. I want them to be accountable for betraying me. I want them to apologize in a meaningful way. I want them to not be an asshole. So you can see these two lists are a little different. In the first list, it's clear when people spell out behaviors, what's needed or wanted, what needs to change. In the second, it's more sweeping. Some of the ones on the second list are sort of behaviors, like I want them to apologize in a meaningful way. But even that is hazy. Just an I'm sorry or something more. Usually in narcissistic relationships, the apology is never enough. And the only thing in any relationship that is important in terms of repair is behavioral change. So when we say these folks, their personalities, their behaviors in these relationships don't change, and that is difficult for you to hear, then you have to take a long, hard look at things and ask yourself what you want to have change. My guess is that you have tried to address this about 1,000 times. At one time, you asked directly. Maybe you said it straight to them. You texted it. You emailed it. You wrote them a letter. Then, when they didn't make the change, you got into long arguments and conversations about how many times you asked for this. And then, when they don't change it, you feel ignored and even dehumanized. Like what you are saying has no meaning, that it's not worth listening to you, and even perhaps that you have no meaning. So why is this so important? Why is this distinction so important? Because the real way to frame narcissistic relationships is not how can I change this or that, but rather, what am I going to do if this will never change? How will you feel if they keep being shady on social media, or don't listen to you and keep fooling with their phone and claiming they have ADHD while you speak and don't hear what you say, or keep breaking promises? How does it shape your decision-making if you know it won't really change? Because that right there is the crux of the issue. We can sit here and yammer on about how all of this is not going to change till the end of time. But the bigger issue is, if it's not going to change, what are you going to do? Some of this is good old-fashioned radical acceptance. You disengage because the thing you want to have change is that they listen to you. Well, they won't. So you stop talking to them, or stop sharing emotion because they treat you like you're crazy, or you stop believing them when they make promises, and instead you do start making a plan B. If you don't want to leave or can't leave the relationship, then making decisions on the basis of these realistic expectations is crucial. But if you are on the fence of breaking up, filing for divorce, moving out, quitting the job, cutting bait, even going no contact, and then the thing that is holding you back is you wanting a change, the question becomes, okay, this thing I want is not going to change, so that means ... And then it becomes more clear, because this relationship may never be what you want. The most difficult thing is when the stuff that you want to change is less behavioral and more conceptual. Like, I want them to care. I want them to not always be the victim. I want them to notice me. I want them to take accountability. I want them to see how they treat me. This is the stuff that's even less likely to change than the behaviors. Because at the core of it, some of this second set of stuff is who they are and represents the complex system of grandiose defenses that they have that make them unable to connect closely to other people, that makes them view other people as a threat, to have contempt for close relationships because it brings up too much shame. So unless they are in some top flight, consistent therapy and they're committed to the work and feel it's worth doing and are willing to be vulnerable in it. Those things are not going to come. And again, the question to you is, if they don't notice me or aren't accountable or always make it about how they are so put upon by you and the world, and that's not going to change, what then for you? Listen, you may have a dozen things you want to see change, and a few of them may be enough. Maybe they start taking out those bags of trash. Is that enough? It may be for some folks. For others, you may say, I can't leave, but I need to find other places to get some of this met. Friends who listen, a job where my work ethic is witnessed. You drown out their constant criticism of your friends, and you see those friends without telling the narcissistic person you are doing that. This big ticket sense of, I want it to change, can make all of this feel impossible. And when it feels amorphous, this big idea of change, we may just get lost in the bigness of it all and not grapple with either realistic expectations if we do stay, or waking up to recognizing that this will never be what you want and saying, I am going to leave. And cutting this up into the pieces of what it is you want to change and witnessing how much can really happen there. They're probably never really going to listen to you. They have their narrative about you, and that is not going to budge. And then making your decisions accordingly. These relationships leave us feeling helpless enough, but sometimes thin slicing what is happening can help you get clarity and take back some of that feeling into clarity, unpleasant clarity, but clarity nonetheless. Ultimately, the change that happens is within us. But once we are clear on what it is we really want to be different, we are actually in a better position to see that it probably won't ever change. And then the ball is on our court. It's a subtle shift, but an important one nonetheless. Thanks again.